Hey trackers. So out here on the river bar today, the sunlight is very bright, and to the point that it's kind of washing out the tracks. And right here there are trails from at least 3 otters, and they're getting a little difficult to see because the sunlight is so bright. And what that does is it washes out the details of the tracks, and it makes the shadows overly harsh. So these tracks can be very difficult to see in this sort of midday light like this. So I'm going to show you a little trick that you can use to make these tracks kind of pop out a little bit easier and make them a lot easier to see. These otters were wet when they made these trails because you can see the drip marks from the water that fell off their fur. That's a left hind otter track. Now let's look at these in a different way. Okay, so that track that I just showed you, I have placed the camera on a tripod so I can do this hands-free. Now in the direct sunlight, the track details are fairly washed out, and it can be, let me pull that back a little bit. The details get washed out in the sunlight, and so it's kind of hard to see this track. Now in harsh sunlight like this, I need to adjust the lighting so that you can see the details of this track. First thing I'm going to do is drop my pack in between the sun and the track and the eye. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these. This is just a camping mirror, really inexpensive, and I'm going to use it outside and reflect light across that track. Now right here I'm using the back of the mirror that has a little coating on it, and so the light is really diffuse, and that's actually a nice pleasing light on this track, so you can actually bring out the details. I'm going to do it from the other side, and so right here you can see there's actually 2 tracks there overlapping. I have one here and one here. Now let me use the other side of the mirror, and you'll get a more harsh light, but it also is going to bring out some of those details. So I'm going to prop the mirror here on the sand, reflect it across the track, and adjust it to where I want it. Now it's really bright right there. That's not bad. So you can see more details in this track now. So you can see the dropped thumb, and you can see the 4 toes there of the left hind track of this river otter. And you can even bring out, if the mirror didn't have a hole in it up there, it has a lanyard hole, which isn't very helpful, but I'll move the mirror so that the lanyard hole is out of the way. Anyway, you can actually see details of the claw marks up here too on this track. So by using a mirror, I've adjusted the sunlight to an angle that's more favorable, where I can actually see more details in that track. So here's without any light, that's in shadow of my backpack, and then here's with the back of the mirror just bringing a subtle light across it. And a lot of times the more subtle light is better, just because it doesn't create harsh glares, and you can actually pick out a lot of detail in that track. So that's a little lighting trick, how to see tracks, and using just a cheap little camping mirror, and that's what I was using. It cost a couple of bucks. I didn't take the liner off. This side is plastic because I wanted one side to give more subtle light. This side has just the plain metal, and it will give a reflection. So if you recall, in a previous video I showed you how to do the same thing with a flashlight. In this case, if you don't have a flashlight with you, but if you have one of these little cheap camping mirrors, you can actually accomplish the same thing with using the sunlight and just available sunlight, something to provide shade. You can even use another tracker to stand there and provide shade. Hold your hat over it, put a backpack there, anything to create shade on the track. Instead of a harsh light like this, you're going to get a much better situation. And in this case, I actually dropped the mirror on it to show you, so I ruined the track. But there you go.